Hey, yo, what is up, YouTubers? It's your boy, TheSuperRorio Eblen, back here once again. That's where Uncle Ruby is. Pikachu with me. That's right, buddy. Detective Pikachu is here with me too. And now starts another episode of Mouse P.I. for Ire, starring Detective Sherlock Jack Willer and Detective Pikachu once again, my fans. That's right. So if you haven't seen last episode of this case mystery series, I recommend you do because here we are now. What we're now planning and to do, and what we're now ready to do is now start another baseball card game. And as it turned it out, we were playing as the same opponent as before, except this time a little different. And so as it began, we then decided to show this player who was boss, and so we did. We then played the card, and it was a big, humongous hit or run for us. And as it turned out, what a shot it was for the baseball game of the card, a game of the seasons. And so the next pitch was up. And so our chances of doing this were bigger than ever before. But it was a good catch, though. Because we got the first score of the match. But then, as things went on, it was a little bit different. Since now, it wasn't going to be as easy as I thought. But then again, we learned and learned, and eventually we would get it though. However, for these old card games of silly goofiness, it didn't matter how many times we had to make it play out though. Because sometimes it wouldn't be that hard. However, for a big card game like this, we kept going. And no matter what would happen, is that even if we would lose or not, then who would care? Why? Because all that mattered was having fun. And so we did. As we were playing the games well. But then was the new inning. I was now the pitcher. Only he had to keep the one score for me, which was good for the whole game. So, so we had to keep it that way. And as it turned out, all was well. The pitcher was a really darn good throwing of pitching balls. A little bit of a joke there, but anyways, alright. So, as the comedian ends with always by throwing balls, you know how they would always say play a ball in baseball games? Well, it would be just like this, except completely different. As baseball all nowadays you would just usually watch it off TV or at the stadium, you know? I mean, who knows? Maybe other people love the game and others don't. But hey, you know, sometimes it is nice to really feel about what other people feel. That's how me and Detective Pikachu always had it in a Pokemon tournament, and the and those Pokemon video games, you know, battling and whatnot, even with Jack, General Dawnfist, and you name it. But anyways, there we were. After the nice big long game, we decided to figure out what to find next. Nothing around in sight, not even a soul in sight, except for a nice diner looking establishment. When all of a sudden we realized our mission. But first things first was that, and we knew we wouldn't want to leave yet, because then we then decided to figure out what was next that we were missing. And as it turned out, only of what we were thinking about remained. Because of what we were getting ourselves into. wasn't how the Thought Wednesday was gonna go. But then again, the whole disappearance crap, it's like in the Detective Pikachu, but now is not the time because then was our next big episode called Bendel's Lab, which kind of almost looks a little bit familiar, like Bendy Land,
All right.
except
We're
Bendy
going to the
Hell.
corner. The
But
entrance should be around here
now
somewhere.
we were in the spooky, dark, and eerie forest. But something was off about this forest. It didn't look not only haunted and abandoned, but also not right. As in, when all of a sudden, some unknown strange goons came out of nowhere, and so we had to fight our way up and back again to let those goons to teach them the bad old to teach the bad old goons a lesson. I mean, hey, it's our content and our detective work that we're working on. I Detective Pikachu. Pikachu. You said it, buddy. I mean, Detective Pikachu.
That's a low-hanging
Oh.
one.
Wow. Rude, right before I was interrupted. But anyways, yeah. Detective Pikachu knew I was right. He didn't want to be reminded of the time in the scene in Pokemon Detective Pikachu where we're in a fight with Charizard. He forgot his power moves, which was a little strange and a little odd too. But then, as they were continuing to look around, Jack and Pikachu then found themselves at an outhouse. Now I know what you may be wondering. An outhouse? What's this doing here? And why does it look all abandoned and deserted? Well, this wasn't just any old outhouse. It was a secret or mine to the lab mine. And so it was. As the and
We're moving.
and as so we were moving as the elevator was going down and it was getting ready for the next biggest thing. However,
Exactly
now
what you up to?
we were into the depths of the big and humongous laboratory that looked abandoned and not only that but also off working too. That looked like nothing was there. And not only that, but now we had to load ourselves up with ammo and be ready for whatever came our way. So what happened next was then we took a D out, but before we did, we looked it around a little to find what was up. And so far, nothing new or major. However, we did have to save the game. Because now we were in the lab. But where and as we were going, it would and always be that easy. As in some times, some of the bullets or some of the main villains would always get the bigger upper hand on us. However, we didn't let that happen though. As in then, I knew what needed to be done, and it was of course a shotgun, which would always be stronger than a shield, but always remember to shoot when their shields are down. Until they least expected. Anyways, as they continued on, we saw all electric barriers, and now, the mission to get to this boss wasn't going to be easy than I thought. In fact, it was going to be a little more complicated. Just like how transformed King Deity into master and Kirby Stribber Deluxe. And as it continued going, it looked like nothing was wrong. In fact, they continued to press on and move forward. And as it turned out, the level switch here was the key to doing so. And so, as we moved along, the goons thought they could do it, huh? They thought they could beat us again and fight us again? Well, big mistake. They didn't. In fact, they were not even prepared or ready for the big shooting outs either. As in now, when they were moving and moving, nothing appeared to be safe. Because now, all that was really missing was actual real good friendship friends. However, for one thing or another, there was a secret found here. And it turned out in the safe here, it looked like some slithering snakes go onto it to sometimes always take their little hands and make their finger go by through it just see what they can get their little paws or hands into. But that gun back there who thought that they had the upper hand on us, Pikachu attacked first, and knocked him, seeing him start for a split second. That was until I delivered it the fatal blow to him with a gunshot wound right to his face. And then after that, we looked around one last time just to see who was around here and who was there. However, it looked like no one was there, to be honest. So as we continued forward and looked around, we then decided to climb up the ladder. But as we did that, something was off though. In the next room, what we found, I had to pinch myself and Pikachu had to electroshock himself, as if we thought we were dreaming. However, it turned out we weren't. What we saw in front of us was a big and humongous octopus in a big humongous light bulb that looked at it like the main center or of whatever was the heart of this whole underground lab company. And it turned out so far that was the thing. Nothing appeared it to be safe, nor nothing appeared it to be well. So as we looked around, nothing was looking good as we found it. However, we found more secrets, to be honest. But as we were going, we looked at the egg. We looked at it at a black sketchboard. It said here the month, and turned out something often amiss. Because whatever it was that was around here, we were ready just in time. As the goons thought they would take us out, huh? Well, big mistake. They did it and know that we were ready for them. And as we were ready for them, they all turned it into dust and ash. As it turned out, one of them lost his life, I think, trying to advance at us. However, it failed. So we decided to figure out where to go next. And it turned out this big octopus might have known the answer. The stair steps, of course, which then we jumped across and wondered what would be on the other side. Then we were just about to think of something stupid that would really makes our minds scratching. But by this time, my fans, I think we all know very well that, alright, I think this is another great episode and place to stop my episode for right now. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to do everything you can to make sure that my channel is complete and smashing success as always. Remember to view and share with your friends and family. Do all you can to make sure that my channel is complete and smashing success as always. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
And until next time, Shakta, game over now.
Pikachu! Yeah, you said it, buddy.